BSc, MSc and PhD. She is recipient of number of national and international awards. Madam is presently working as principal scientist in agronomy and has been working for last 29 years on agronomy of tropical tubers with special reference to organic farming of tuber crops and cropping system research. She has special contribution in the field of organic farming. She has developed package of practices for organic farming of cassava, elephant foot yam, taro, Chinese potato, arrowroot. She has an international exposure to different countries. She has guided more than 20 students for PhD and MSc. So to begin with this program, I welcome you, madam, in this CFA on organic farming. In this training program, ma'am, we are having 68 participants from different corners of the country. And this program is started on 15th of February and will end up by 24th of February. I welcome you, ma'am, and just request you to please deliver your talk. The topic of her talk is organic farming packages and practices for tuber and plantation crops. Madam, request you to please start delivering your talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Poonam, for the very nice introduction. That's more than what I deserve. And then also I thank wholeheartedly Dr. Ravi Shankar for giving me this opportunity. Now, good morning, all the participants of this training or short course. I will try to share my screen. Hope my PPT is visible.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
And it is moving also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, once again, very good morning, dear participants. And the topic assigned to me is, well, of course, the organic packages for tuber crops. And I will be very briefly dealing with the coconut because that is the main crop or the most commonly crop amongst which the tuber crops are intercropped. So in that way, I have structured my presentation, and Dr. Subramanian is also my NAM batchmate, and he is actually principal scientist who is working on organic farming at ICAR-IIFSR, that is Plantation Crops Research Institute, Kasaragod. So at the outset, let me introduce our group of crops. Most of you all might be proficient, but still I wish to give a very brief introduction. Root and tuber crops or tropical tuber crops. We have a dozen important tropical tuber crops. Well, of course, I have given the field view as well as to familiarize the crop. I have indicated the tubers also in this PPT. So they are the third important food crop of man after cereals and grain legumes. And here the most important aspect is their high biological efficiency, 15 to 75 tons per hectare. And of course, carbo food, that is high starch content. And the important aspect with regard to climate resilience or a climate smart crop, we are designating these crop because they can withstand adverse weather conditions. They are less water and chemical input demanding, and they can yield under poor and marginal soils. They can come up under shady situations. That is why at the outset I told these are feasible as intercrop in coconut gardens. They can withstand drought, waterlogging. Some crops like sweet potato, taro, all these can withstand waterlogging and salinity. And crops like cassava and yam, they can withstand drought. Then most importantly, they are important as a source of income because of the high BC ratio and also generating the employment opportunities to the extent of 150 to 280 man days. So in brief, we designate these crops as no more poor man's crop, but they are food security, nutritional security, and climate resilient or climate smart crops. So with respect to the nutrition aspect, they provide 6% of the world's dietary energy. They are also good sources of a dietary fiber, beta carotene, antioxidants, flavonoids, mucilage, and minerals, and hence they are termed as a nutraceutical rich food. Now there is a passion to have nutraceutical rich food and not mere foods, because from the health benefit point of view. And not only that, on an average, an adult will eat, or the food supply from the tuber crops constitute 61 kilograms per year. And when you compare it with the rice, it is 53, and tapioca ranks first with 14 kilograms per year. And this is just to give an overview of the cheap energy source, or the energy, how much energy you get from a kg of the fresh tuber, energy in kilocalories. It ranges from 830 to as high as 1,400 kilocalories. Again, with the cassava ranking at the top. Then you can see our YTM, which is an introduction, recent introduction, I will say, from Africa. And we have a lot of YTM varieties also. Tania. So all these are, we can say, energy giving foods. And per hectare yield production also, you can compare, you can very well compare it with other cereals like rice, wheat, and maize. And in most instances, it is almost, you can say it is higher than rice, wheat, and maize. And not only that, there are several industrial uses as well in the production of starch, sago, alcohol, then liquid glucose, vitamin C, poultry feed, animal feed. That is, those are the raw materials for poultry feed, animal feed, etc. Now I come to my topic properly, and appropriately, I will say that there is immense scope for organic farming in tropical tuber crops, because you all may be knowing that most of these crops are grown by small and marginal farmers, and naturally the use of chemical fertilizers and insecticides are limited in these group of crops, and they are well adapted to low input conditions. And amongst these tuber crops, the aroids, especially the elephant foot yam, taro, tania, yams and aroids, they do respond well to the organic manures. And also there is now always, there is a passion, or there is a likeness for ethnic group of vegetables. So this, you can say, is an ethnic group of vegetables, and there is great demand for organically produced vegetables, especially the tuberous vegetables. Especially the aroids and yams amongst the Africans and Asians who are living abroad in the US, Europe, Middle East, etc. And added to that, the most important aspect is that these crops, they have fewer pests and diseases. So that makes it easy for organic cultivation or organic growing or organic farming of these crops when compared to cereals and vegetables. So the major issue in the organic production of tuber crops is the nutrient management part, that is the proper scientific use of a wide variety of a cheaper and easily available organic sources of plant nutrients. So that is very important, the local use of the local bioresources, cheaper and easily available bioresources, that is important in this group of crop, because they are, as I said earlier, mostly used by poor people, or it is a common man food. And to make organic farming more profitable, we have to rely upon the locally available and the cheaper bioresources. So some of the strategies for organic tuber production. First, I will be dealing with the important ones. So first and foremost, the most important aspect in organic farming, I'm very sure that Dr. Ravi Shankar must have stressed upon that. We are actually nourishing the soil and not the crop. And always we need to have a system perspective in organic farming. So first we have to build up the native soil fertility. And of course, that is at ease because we have a good crop at our hand, that is green manuring with the cowpea. That is in situ green manuring with the cowpea. That is building up of the class. ഇനി 1 മണിക്ക് 1:30 വരുള്ളൂ. Building up of the native fertility of the land, that is in situ green manuring with the cowpea. Then the other important aspect is try to use organically raised planting material. That will be better. That is, we have to make use of the organically produced planting material. And well, of course, the other important aspect is you have to have the nutrient management based on the soil fertility analysis, the soil analysis of prime importance, and taking into account the nutrient uptake of that particular crop. You have to come, or you have to schedule your nutrient management, the quantity as well as the time. So the important potential sources are, of course, the farmyard manure, poultry manure, vermicompost, different type of compost from the waste like a pith, mushroom spent, then pressed mud, sawdust. All these are made into different compost, and these have been tried in the organic production as well as the low input production of cassava particularly, and they were found to be equally useful. Then, of course, green manures, crop residues, ash, neem cake, bone meal. Well, of course, the biofertilizers have come in hand nowadays. They are very useful and reliable, and quality wise also we have good numbers nowadays, and they are also especially produced by authorities like the universities, and which we can rely upon, like Azospirillum, mycorrhiza, phosphobacterium. Now, added to that, we are trying to reduce the use of the solid organic manures by making use of the liquid organic manures like Panchagavya, Bijamrit, Jivamrit, Vermeil wash, cow urine. Because as I said earlier, it is a system approach. So you need to have an IFS or a farming system, integrated farming system model as well, wherein the livestock or the animal component is an integral part for organic production of these group of crops. So this is just the average nutrient content of the commonly used bioresources in the production of tropical tuber crops. I am not going to explain or describe each of one of these. Just for the information of the participants. Well, of course, you can have my PPT from the organizers. Now, coming to the pest, disease and weed management, as I said earlier, this is not of a serious issue when we talk about tropical tuber crops, but there are a couple or 2 or 3 important diseases in tropical tuber crops as well, wherein you have to resort to biological or non-chemical or preventive cultural techniques like use of tolerant or resistant varieties, particularly in the case of cassava. You know, the cassava mosaic disease, CMD, is very important or very serious, and that can be only managed by the use of a resistant variety, and one such variety is Raksha. And of course, healthy disease-free planting materials, strict field sanitation, deep ploughing, especially in the case of controlling or managing tuber rot in cassava, roguing the field. Again, that is for cassava mosaic disease management, use of pheromone traps to control the sweet potato, weevil, use of trap crops, especially nematodes, to trap the nematodes. We need to have trap crops. Then adapted crop rotations. Always we need to include a legume, a nitrogen fixing legume in systems or rotations involving tropical tuber crops. Well, of course, use of neem cake is known to all of you. It is not only for nutrient management, but also for the pest and disease management. Then, well, of course, the biocontrol agents, Trichoderma, Pseudomonas. And the most difficult part in the case of organic management is the management of weeds biologically. And we have to resort to, we have no other option like hand weeding, then intercropping, mulching, and green manuring, raising a green manuring crop, because most of these crops, especially cassava, elephant foot yam, taro, all these, they have a slow initial growth phase. They take 3 or 4 months for canopy closure. So that period can be very appropriately used for raising a green manure crop like cowpea, and that will definitely enhance the resource use efficiency by fixing nitrogen, nutrient use efficiency, and it will conserve the water. It will also manage weeds effectively. And of course, you can also adopt the other important techniques like soil solarization and so on. So now I come to my aspects of organic package. And before I come to the organic packages for tropical tuber crops, actually there is always a debate between organic and chemical or conventional agriculture, whether we can produce enough food for everybody and whether the quality is superior, whatever the produce that you are producing, and whether it is possible to meet the nutrient requirement of the crops in organic farming, and what are all the soil health benefits or the environmental benefits of organic farming, whether if we are using this much quantity, large quantity of organic manures, whether it will come to be feasible, whether it will be economically feasible, and whether we can manage pests and diseases in organic farming. So these are all the queries, or these are all the arguments that the opponents of organic farming, or whether it is natural farming or organic farming, raise these days. So this is just my humble presentation based on my 18 years of research in 3 institute project and 5 external funded project, and comprising 14 on-station experiments and 67 on-farm trials. So 18 years of continuous research has resulted or enabled the development of the package of practices and some conclusive evidences that there is ample scope for organic production in this group of crops. So these are just to make, just to familiarize with the crops and the yield, as well as the experiments. All were long-term experiments done for five years, initially at the institute level, and then of late I joined the All India Network Program on Organic Farming during, it cannot be said as late because we have crossed 6 years. 2015 we joined the network program. So these are the experiments that we conducted in elephant foot yam. Then like that in the yam, I hope all of you know that we, at least some may be aware that we have 3 types, like white yam, greater yam, lesser yam. And yam, there is a speciality when we consider the yams. Apart from the other tuber crops, they require trailing to a height of 3 meters. And we have a dwarf genotype of white yam also, which doesn't require trailing, which can be grown in the grow bags, which can be raised in the homesteads of Kerala. And here also we have developed the organic packages based on long-term experiments. Then, well, of course, in taro, then of course it has been validated in the under the National Horticulture Mission sponsored program. With the result, it has been included in the package of practices recommendations of the Kerala Agriculture University, especially the yam, elephant foot yam. Then Ministry of Environment and Forest funded program also supported us or funded us for developing the technologies for organic production of cassava. Then moving on to the network projects, ICR network projects. As I said earlier, National Horticulture Mission, then Ministry of Environment and Forest, 2 ICR network projects, and of late we have the Coconut Development Board project also, which was concluded last year. So All India Network Program of Organic Farming, it is ongoing, as I said earlier, since 2015, and till we initiated working under this network project, we were doing mostly on the sole crop basis or developing the organic packages for the tuber crops. And now we have shifted to a system mode by including the tuber crops in different systems as well as in the IFS. So this is just to update or convince the participants that we have taken great leads only because of the external funded support. Now coming to the, just in brief about the impact, that is in the case of tropical tuber crops, there is of course a 10 to 20% increment in yield over the conventional farming, except in a few cases like a taro or arrowroot. Especially in the case of taro, it was 5% decrement, but it is on par with the conventional farming, I will say, and that was mainly because the taro leaf blight could not be controlled by organic measures. But now, well, of course, we have leaf blight resistant varieties like Muktakeshi. So we have scope, ample scope in organic farming also in taro, and taro is very important internationally. That is an important crop. Internationally, it is very important. So taro, also there is scope for organic farming. Then yield stability index, organic versus conventional, was also stable. We could get stable yield under organic, just as we used to get in the conventional agriculture. Then varietal response, there was no significant difference with respect to the varieties. Both the improved or the high yielding or the light variety as well as the local varieties could be used for organic agriculture. In the case of cassava, not only the domestic varieties, but the industrial varieties also were responding equally to organic agriculture. Now, this is the work that we did under the All India Network program on organic farming for 5 years, 5 continuous years in the same plot, strictly under organic mode. 12 varieties were evaluated to find out the yield stability index as well as the income stability index, and that was found to be on the higher side for Sri Raksha, because I have introduced this variety in the beginning of my lecture, because that is cassava mosaic disease resistant, which is good with respect to the cooking quality as well. So Sri Raksha followed by Sri Pavitra and Sri Vijaya. Sri Raksha and Sri Pavitra are normal duration varieties, that is 9 to 10 months duration, and Sri Vijaya is a short duration variety of 5 to 6 months, 6 to 7 months. That is the duration of Sri Vijaya. So these were found to be stable varieties under organic management. The most important aspect, even Dr. Ravi Shankar was showing in his lecture with regard to the quality aspect of crops under organic farming, we also could get good results. That is, the biochemical and the mineral attributes of the tubers were improved under organic management. That is not significant improvement, statistically not much improvement, but numerically there was improvement. And here I have shown the percentage increase in the dry matter, then starch, crude protein, oxalate and HCl. Those two are the anti-nutritional principles. They were found to be lowered under continuous organic management. Now, with respect to the mineral constituents of the tuber, the potassium, calcium, and the magnesium content were improved under organic management. Now we have the soil quality aspect, which is important, where we give emphasis not only to the chemical indicators of the soil, but the physical as well as the biological indicators of the soil. Of course, when we resort to the conventional agriculture or the chemical-based farming or the integrated crop management, there will be always an upsurge or an increase in the chemical indicators or the chemical parameters of the soil. So only this way of eco-friendly agriculture or biological agriculture can bring about a substantial increase in the physical parameter and the biological parameters of the soil. And based on the long drawn experimentation, we have found that the water holding capacity is increasing to the extent of 8 to 28%. Soil organic matter is also increasing 14 to 40%. And the most strikingly important aspect is the acidity of the soil. You know, Kerala soils, especially our in this part of the soil, in this part of the area, it is pH is acid soil, and you know the problems of the acid soil, the low availability of the nutrients, the high P content, lesser quantity of calcium, magnesium, zinc and boron, nitrogen status is also to the lower side. So all these can be resolved with a slight improvement in the pH to neutrality. So that improvement in the pH 0.46, that is, when you consider these group of crops, when you consider this group of crop, you can see the range in the increase in the soil pH, that is 0.46 to 1.2 unit increase in the soil pH. So that will actually contribute to the availability of the nutrients and subsequently result in good growth promoting effect and higher yield. So that is actually when we were actually doing the experiments in the beginning, all the higher authorities like from the SMD or DG, they always used to advise or suggest to find out the science behind organic farming. Of course, I will say there is science behind organic farming based on my experience. It is owing to the improvement in the physical and the biological parameters of the soil. The biological parameters of the soil, the soil has got crores and crores of the microbes, which we are always neglecting by the continuous use of synthetic chemical inputs. So the bioresources or the natural resources or the organic resources, you can see it is evident from long-term experimentation. In the case of tropical tuberculosis, there is improvement in the bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, the nitrogen fixers, pH solubilizers. Then, of course, the enzyme activities, all these were improved. And recently, from the long All India Network Program on Organic Farming experimentation based on 6 years, that is continuously we are growing in the same plot, we were able to derive or we were able to isolate our own local microbes, which were having not only the nutrient promoting effect, especially P, K and nitrogen, but also disease suppression. In the case of our own diseases like collar rot in elephant foot yam, it was giving a disease inhibiting effect. So all these are points to be highlighted when we talk about organic farming. Not only the yield is important, but the other aspects are also important. So this is actually when during my BSc AG days,
unmute, ma'am.
Suja ma'am, kindly unmute yourself. Thank you.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
You were not hearing me so far?
No, just now we...
Okay, thank you. So now we are actually concerned very much about the soil quality, which will take into account the whole ecosystem, not only the plant and the soil, but also the other aspect like the human beings, the animal component, and all the entire environment is taken into account in the soil quality index. So we have actually worked out the soil quality index for the two important crops, that is elephant foot yam and cassava. Let me introduce elephant foot yam, that is considered to be the most responsive to organic farming amongst our crops. So here you can see the soil quality index was significantly higher under the organic, that is on par with the traditional. Traditional, of course, is the farmer's practice, and that was driven by the physical parameter, that is water holding capacity, soil pH, and available zinc. So those were the decisive factors that determine the soil quality index. So with respect to cassava also, we could see, or we could get similar result of a higher soil quality index under the organic production system, and that was driven by again soil pH, exchangeable calcium, porosity. So in the one case it was water holding capacity, other case it was porosity. So here it is then dehydrogenase enzyme activity, and soil quality index was favored because of all these components. So finally I will just to summarize by saying that organic production over 18 years of experimentation has improved the yield, then the quality, that is improvement in yield to the extent of 10 to 20%. And because of that, there is improvement in the profit, that is 20 to 40%. Then tuber quality was also improved with the higher dry matter, starch, crude protein, potassium, calcium, and magnesium content. The anti-nutritional principles were also lowered, especially in the case of elephant foot yam and cassava. Then there was improvement in the soil quality. So this is elephant foot yam. This is the dwarf genotype of white yam. I purposefully had added this because this is a rare site. You might have seen the other yams. So this is the green manuring, lush green vegetation. That is actually the cost-effective technique that we resort to in the organic production of tropical tuber crops. And you can see this is actually a view from the on-farm trials the farmer, he was not convinced in the beginning, but later on, you can see the sprouting of elephant foot yam also in between. And later on, he was convinced with the growth and the productivity of elephant foot yam, though there was a little competition in the beginning that was offset with good growth and yield under elephant foot yam. This is a taro, and these are taro cormals, and this is greater yam, that is the local variety of yam, which is very popular in Kerala and southern tracts. So these are the package, because I have been asked to actually to deliver the organic package for the tropical tuber crops. So this is actually in a brief, the organic package, that is organic seed material, then use of farmyard manure incubated with the bio-inoculants, that is farmyard neem cake mixture, inoculated with the trichoderma, seed treatment again with the cow dung neem cake trichoderma slurry, 5 gram per kg. The neem cake is required not only for the nutrient management, but also for disease control and some of the nematode, for the control of nematodes in especially in elephant foot yam. Then use of biofertilizers. Then the most important aspect is green manuring as far as possible before the crop, if it is possible. During the summer rain, summer showers, if it is possible, you can raise a green manure crop of cowpea, or inter sowing is also possible, because these crops, as I said earlier, have a very slow initial growth phase, and that can be made good by adding a lot of biomass into the soil and by raising in situ, or by going in for in situ green manuring. And well, of course, wood ash, if available in the homestead, you can, because it is a very good source of potassium, calcium, and magnesium. So that is also because it is a tuber crop which requires a large quantity of potassium. So you should have some sources for cheap sources for potassium as well. So if it is available in the homestead, that can be used. So economic analysis of the production system with conventional, comparison with the conventional, also indicated that there was 20 to 40% higher profit. That is, this computation was without giving premium price to the organic produce. And because of the higher yield, that is 10 to 20% higher yield, this higher income was possible. So these are all the glimpses of the on-farm trial that we did in the different districts of Kerala, that is the southern districts. And this we did in collaboration with the, as I said earlier, ICAR, Central Plantation Crops Research Institute, actually in a mature coconut plantation, which was actually managed organically for long, that is more than 25 to 30 years, that is the age of the coconut plantation. So there we tried our crops like cassava and the 3 types of yam, that is both the white yam, that the short staged one, or the non-trailing one, then greater yam and lesser yam. So there also we could get comparable result. It was on par with the conventional farming, and this was done for 2 years, 2 continuous years, and that actually enabled to come to a valid inference. Now moving on to our some of the important work, or I will say the packages that we could develop under the All India Network Program on Organic Farming. Actually, that was with a very strict or a definite layout plan as envisaged by the lead center, with the border row of subabul and lemongrass for alley cropping as alley crops, then cowpea buffer strip to add green leaf manuring or green manuring, the lemongrass also for pest repellent properties. So that was the type of a layout that was envisaged for the cropping system organic management experiments, which can also be mimicked by the farmers, because here we have the bioresources as well as the native or the pest repellent principles are also being harnessed. So Here, these were the 4 systems which are important when we speak about tropical tuber crops. That is cassava vegetable cowpea, cassava groundnut, taro green gram, and taro black gram. You can see all these are important legumes as well. Pulse, oil seeds, and legume, and one is a vegetable. So all these are nitrogen fixing legume. So the system is having a good crop, a blessed crop, I will say. Especially with respect to organic farming, it is very important to grow a legume or a nitrogen fixing crop. So these are just to inform that we got good results under organic management. 100% or 75% organic was found to be the best after 5 to 6 years of experimentation. And these are all the staff who actually put in a lot of effort, and they undertake good work under the project. So this is a taro, just to familiarize our crop. Then this is vegetable cowpea under the different practices. This is a short statured, or you can say that doesn't require trailing. It is Anashwara variety of cowpea, that is Kerala Agriculture University variety. This is the groundnut, that is again TNAU variety, co variety, green gram, black gram. And now we have developed an IFS model as well, with the cassava and taro as the base crop, and with the summer crop of green gram, black gram, groundnut, and green manure crops. We have the fodder crop, then cassava vegetable cowpea intercropping. And initially we had the livestock unit or the animal unit for this model. Actually, now we have switched over to another model. We are just in the formative stage, unlike the other ANPOF centers, because we purchased our cow only 2 years. It is almost 2 years since the purchase. And so we had the cow only for a few months. So based on that, the computations were made, and still we could get equivalent yield, tuber equivalent yield of 9.11 tons and an added profit of about 55,000 rupees from this unit area, that is 0.3 hectares, that is 0.75, that is 75 cents. So these were the taro, followed by those pulse crops and the green manure crops. And this is the hybrid Napier and cassava intercropped with vegetable cowpea. That is a common practice followed, especially the system that is followed. Then not only that, we have the other pulse crop as well as the green manure crop, and the dairy unit as well, and a vermicompost unit that is in the field in situ itself. And now we have revised the model to include more of fruit crops like banana and vegetables, especially amaranthus, bindi, cucumber, cluster bean, pulses, more of pulses, then fruit crops, pineapple and banana. Banana, that is the Nendran banana, which is very much preferred in Kerala. So that is actually intercropped initially with the cucumber or amaranthus. And later on, after that short phase, we are intercropping elephant footium. Actually, banana and elephant footium are very good companion crops. It is a very promising or a feasible cropping system. Then we have now our cows, 4 cows. We have 1 more calf, and the 2 calves which we purchased earlier have also grown, matured, and they have also grown up and they have become cows. So now we have strengthened our dairy unit with 4 cows and 1 calf. And on the hedges, we have the agathi, the moringa, then the pest repellent crops, lemongrass, and vermicompost unit is pending, that is to be started. So that is just to give an overall picture of our cropping system models that we have included in the IFS, like a banana with the elephant footiam. Earlier it was cucumber and banana, then taro maize intercropping, then cassava intercropped with amaranthus, then sole crop of vegetables, amaranthus, bindi, like a cucumber, amaranthus, bindi, cowpea. Then this is the dairy unit. Then the crops like agadi, cluster bean, and hybrid Napier grass. So this is just in brief this is just to show the diversification of the food basket and the equivalent yield that we got, because this is just the initial period. We have some of the crops are in the unproductive state. So we will get a complete picture by this year end. So, well, of course, we also have undertaken the natural farming experimentation for 1 year in the system cassava plus vegetable cowpea followed by green gram. And here in the first year, we could notice that the highest tuber yield was obtained, especially in the case of cassava, we could get only in the organic farming package. It is not natural farming, but statistically it was on par with the integrated crop management and the natural farming practices. The treatments that were given by the lead center actually comprised of complete natural farming, including all the 4 components like BGJ, that is, I designate the Bijamrit, Gana Jivamrit, and Jivamrit, that is BGJ. Then we have the crop residue, then intercropping, Vapasa. So these are the 4 components. So the organic package resulted in the highest productivity in cassava, but it was on par with the integrated crop management as well as the natural farming practice without intercropping and without Vapasa. And with respect to the vegetable cowpea, the bushy type, well, of course, it was highest in the complete natural farming package. Now, because of the reduction in the cost of cultivation in the natural farming package and because of the high income, because of the almost on par yield with the NPOF package, the income obviously was higher in the natural farming 4, that is without Vapasa, without irrigation in alternate rows in the node. Because cassava, you know, it is a rain-fed crop. We are growing cassava mostly as a rain-fed crop in our area, and it will come up very nicely under rain-fed situation, because as per treatment, we used to give the Vapasa also. So in that way, we can say when we compute the economics in the first year, we still have to get a clear picture, because green gram, the harvest is completed and we are just tabulating the result. So from the system productivity and profitability point of view, we will be coming to a conclusion based on the first year result. And the inherent soil fertility might have also contributed to higher yield in the natural farming treatments. So all these we will come to a valid conclusion or inference only after undertaking the experimentation for long. Hello, class, Anne. Okay, then. Now, actually, we have also trying to bring about an inventory of the organic farming practices that are being grown, that are being adopted by the farmers in Kerala. That is, we have a geo-referenced survey of organic growers. In about 172 farmers, we have covered not only the southern districts, but the northern tract where tuber crops are popular, like Malappuram. And during that one such survey, during 2018, we could actually find out a good organization, or I will say an NGO, that is Nalla Bhakshana Prasthanam, that is Safe Food Project in Ponnani and Edapal Panchayat of Malappuram. And actually, it is I should thank my project staff, my SRF and the young professional who actually encountered such a very good venture in organic cultivation, which is very encouraging and motivational. Because the cluster, it was started in 2009 with 18 members around in Ponnani and Edapal area of Malappuram, and now it has grown to 62 members. And mostly they promote integrated farming system with the cow, goat, poultry, duck, and fish. And there is the recycling of the natural resources and local breeds of cow, that is Vechur cow, that is actually being grown, or that is bred in the homestead because of the nutritional quality of the milk and the disease resistance capacity of the local breed. Now, added to that, there was an eco shop also, where the farmers were selling the organic produce and value-added products, which could give a remunerative price to the farmers. And they also promoted the cultivation of the local varieties of rice like Kuruva, Cheradi, Tavalakkannan, Jeeragashala, Nyavara. All these are medicinal rice varieties. And because of their effort, they could reintroduce about 17 local varieties of rice within 7 years. And of course, they claim that these local varieties are resistant to pests and diseases apart from the health benefits. And they also produce ample straw for rearing the farm animals. So I just humbly also say that this success story that we submitted to the ANPOF Lead Center long back, because of the sustained effort of Dr. Pawar sir and our Ravi Shankar, it could find a place in the Compendium of Country Case Studies that was released at COP26 of the United Nations Climate Change Conference at Glasgow at UK during 6th November. So this Nalla Bhakshana Prasthanam, if you see, it is there in that compendium. I thank immensely and profusely both Pawar sir and Ravi Shankar for their support. So when the year, just a year before our survey, you could see the vegetable, the fruits, the tuber crops and the spices that we were producing solely relying on the organic norms, that is organic means. So that is a point, case in point, that should be stressed in this presentation. So this is just a view of their eco shop, the value added products, the organic production of vegetables, and even upland rice, then the organic cassava, the organic vegetables, and even Nendran variety of banana, the narrow root, their cow, their IFS unit, and the machineries, the tiller, all those that they are having. So this is the, in brief, the package. This is specifically the package for tuber crops. I have just mentioned the general principles of the organic package. And in the All India Network Program of Organic Farming, we could develop the packages for the 4 systems that I mentioned earlier. And of the 4 systems, cassava groundnut was productive and profitable and efficient. And another striking aspect is that instead of relying entirely on the solid organic manures, you can reduce the quantity of the solid organic manures to the extent of 25%. In the first series, we have tried for 5 years whether there is a possibility to reduce it to 25%. And in the next step, in the next series of experimentation, that has been enhanced to 50%. Only 50% we are giving through the solid organic manures. The rest are through the liquid organic manures. As said earlier by Dr. Ravi Shankar in his lecture, that is using liquid organic manures like Jivamrit, Bijamrit, then Gana Jivamrit, then of course Panchagavya, Vermeil wash, cow urine. All these enabled the reduction in the use of costly solid organic purchased inputs to the extent of 25%. Then, as I said earlier, among the cassava varieties, you can very well grow cassava variety Sri Raksha. It is a cassava mosaic disease resistant variety, as well as variety that is very much responsive to organic management with stable yields of 37 tons per hectare. Well, of course, the geotagged characterization I have already mentioned, in which we could encounter the Nalla Bhakshana Prasthanam as well, and the IOFS, that we are slowly refining and making it a Pakka model. Now, with respect to the coconut, because these crops are mostly grown as intercrops in coconut, the best way for organic management is by adopting these 5 methods, like basin management with green manure crops. That is, in the basin, like Calapagonium, then cowpea, sun hemp, and horse gram, that will add a biomass to the extent of 27 kg per basin and a nitrogen addition to the extent of 195 gram per basin. So that is one method, basin management. Then alley cropping with the green leaf manuring crops, green leaf manure crops like Glycidia. Then organic recycling, that is what are all the byproducts or the waste products that are obtained in the coconut plantation that is going for vermicomposting. And you know, coir pith is also available in ample quantity, which is actually a byproduct in the production of coir from the coconut husk. So that is actually rich in lignin, high lignin, and wide CN ratio. So by composting, that is recycled. Then of course, bio fertilizers should be used. Then another important aspect in the case of a coconut plantation is the high density multi-species cropping system involving the animal component as well, livestock farming. Then soil and water conservation measures, making use of the coconut leaves, the husk, and coir pith as mulches. and appropriately making use of the organic plant health management strategy. So that comprise the package for organic production of coconut. Now we will go to the individual aspects, like a green manuring is another important aspect. Actually, when we undertook our experiments of intercropping versus organic farming, that is organic production of tuberous vegetables as intercrop in coconut plantation, we could witness large areas under the green manuring when we went to CPCRA. So that is appreciable. That is cowpea, sun hemp, dainja, mimosa. So again, alley cropping with glyriceria, that is another important practice where there is a biomass addition to the extent of 7 tons per hectare, and the NPK addition is 66, 5 and 22 kilograms. There is NPK. So we have also done experiments in this aspect, and we could also find out similar results. The nitrogen addition is worth mentioning with respect to the manure, green leaf manuring or green manuring, whatever it is to the extent of 60 to 70 kilograms per hectare. Phosphorus, of course, because it's alley cropping, in the case of green manuring, it can be enhanced slightly, that is 14 to 15 kg per hectare. In our case, the tuber crops, they have low phosphorus requiring, and moreover, our soils are high in phosphorus. So the by the green manure crop. Well, of course, potassium, of course, 44 to 45 kilograms of potassium could also be added because of the green manure crops. So similar in lines to that, they are also getting about in this alley cropping system. The next, well, of course, another important aspect is the organic recycling. That is, the availability is the most important aspect. There is ample availability, there is ample scope, because a lot of waste, or you can say the byproducts, are available in the coconut plantation. That is, leaves alone 6 to 8 tons, and the total biomass is about 15 to 21 tons, including the leaf, the coconut husk, the inflorescence waste. And added to that, there is a coir pith, which is rich in lignin, which is low in decomposition. So we have to adopt measures or resort to measures where there is in situ recycling and there is rapid decomposition as possible. And they have actually come out with technologies, that is ICAR, Central Plantation Crops Research Institute. We will move on to the next slide, and here you can see the coconut leaf vermi compost. That is actually the solid organic fertilizer that they have prepared from coconut leaf and cow dung. That is 10:1 ratio. There should be moisture also 40 to 50%, and it is making use of the earthworm Udrilus species, and coconut leaf vermi compost. You can see there is scope for micro enterprising. That is, from the 6 to 8 tons of the coconut leaves, we can produce about 65 to 66% recovery. That is about 4 to 5 tons of the coconut leaf vermi compost can be prepared. So there is scope for micro enterprising, because that is commercialized as Kalpa Organic Gold and Kalpa Soil Care. It is free of urea. You know, among the chemical fertilizers, synthetic fertilizer, that is urea, is always having a tendency for enhancing the acidity of the soil. So especially in the soils that are high in acidity, that is our soil, low in pH, continuous usage of urea will also lower the soil pH. So this Kalpa Soil Care is urea free. And added to that, you can see the NPK content in the coconut leaf vermi compost. Not only that, there are several biological benefits like rich in humic acid, there are beneficial microorganisms, growth promoting substance, and on an average about 25 to 30 kilograms of vermicompost can be produced per palm per year. And another added benefit is that can be used for all other crops, especially the vegetables. They are actually promoting the cultivation of vegetables using the Kalpa Organic Gold. Another important solid organic fertilizer is the coir pith compost. As I said earlier, it is actually dumped as a serious environmental pollutant. It has a high moisture retention capacity, high potassium content, low particle density, and high CEC. So all these are soil fertility promoting aspects. and only undesirable attribute is its high polyphenol content and high CN ratio. So that can be made good by converting it into a rich compost, that is square pith compost. Actually, the technology is given here, and the composting could be completed within 45 days, and it contains high amount of, high means when compared to the cow dung or farmyard manure, it is slightly higher, NP and K, and the CN ratio has been lowered from 100:1 to 22:1. So that is a point to be noted. Then, not only that, coming to the bio-inoculant technology, they have come up with Kera Pro Bio. It is a talc-based Bacillus megaterium formulation, and Coco Pro Bio, that is for using in the biopriming of the seedlings, healthy seedling production using the plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. Then Coco Pro Bio, that is a talc-based Pseudomonas putida formulation for cocoa. So all these are being marketed also as a Kera Pro Bio and Coco Pro Bio. So these are all the, actually in collaboration with Dr. Subramanian. Actually, these are the slides that he gave me for my presentation today. So I have just modified it slightly based on my requirement. So this is the pest management in organic farming. Of course, that should also go hand in hand, because unlike the tuber crops, these crops, there are lot of pests and diseases as well. And rhinoceros beetle, when organically or biologically, it is by field sanitation, you have to hook out the beetles, then you have to fill the upper 3 leaf axils around the spindle with 3 naphthalene balls covered with fine sand. Then manure pits and other breeding sites, you should be treated with the leaves and tender stems of Clerodendron infortunatum. In Malayalam, we call this as communist vacha, Clerodendron infortunatum. Clerodendron infortunatum, then Metarrhizium anisoplea, that is the green muscardine fungus. Then class aane, then release the baculovirus oryctis. That is another important aspect. Sorry, Clerodendron infortunatum is not communist vacha, it is peruvalum, sorry. Then red palm weevil. Red palm weevil is their field sanitation. The leaf axil filling, that is another important aspect. Then you have to set the coconut log traps with the fermenting toddy or pineapple or sugarcane activated with yeast or molasses. Then pheromone trap is also there for attracting and killing the adult weevils. The leaf-eating caterpillar, again parasitoids, release of parasitoids. Chorid bug and areophid mite, mostly they are advocating or recommending the neem-based biopesticides. Then, of course, the important aspect is diversity. Wherever it is the thumb rule or the general rule in organic production or for climate resilience or whatever it is, we have to go in for crop diversity. Single crop or sole cropping will not, it is not a solution for the present climate change impact. So you have to resort to crop diversity. That is very much taken care of in the coconut-based cropping system or farming system by intercropping, then mixed cropping. This cocoa itself will add large quantity of bio-waste. 13 tons of material that is available for recycling, which is being pruned by way of litter fall and the pod husk. So high density multi-species cropping system and integrating it with allied enterprises like dairy, poultry, pisciculture, apiculture, etc. And fully organic, they are trying to recycle the biomass, of course by vermicomposting, then biofertilizer is used, green manuring, vermiwash, then husk burial and mulching in the coconut basin. So all these are the integrated organic package for the high density multi-species cropping system. This is the coconut based farming system, milch cow, coconut, fodder, grass, banana and pepper. That is the crop, those are the crop components. Then broilers, pisciculture and quails. Then, so finally the impact also is revealed. There is enhancement in the yield in both the local variety as well as the hybrid, 68% and 59%. Then high improvement in the soil properties, especially the biological properties, the soil organic carbon and available nitrogen, the leaf nutrient content, pest and disease incidence, all those were favored. That is, there was a lowering because of the less succulence. So, of course, I come to the end of my presentation. I'll just take 5 minutes and wind up. Of course, when we talk about organic farming, definitely we should also thrust upon some of the constraints like the availability of organic manures, because only we can meet 25 to 13% of the nutrient needs strictly through organic resources. So we should go in for other means like use of biofertilizers and liquid organic manures like compost, and all those things should be taken care of. Then, of course, the demerit of organic manures, they are bulky, low analysis, slowly available, and variable in composition also, depending upon the feed in the case of cow dung. Then cattle dung is also used as a fuel. Then always it is difficult to convince the farmers that you have to go in for leguminous cover crops or green manure crops, leguminous trees, composting and recycling of farm waste. So there is a neglect among the farming community. So they should be made aware, they should be convinced, capacity building programs should be given emphasis for that. Then certification procedures are very cumbersome and expensive, that is there, and all those other things are not much important, but still we should also stress upon the constraints and we should find out solutions for it. So future thrust with regard to the research, we have to give emphasis for the long-term research on organic farming. We should have package of practices and try as far as possible to have characterize and assess the quality and agronomic efficiency of whatever locally available organic resources that is available based on location specificity or whatever it is for use in organic farming. And we have to screen the varieties also for adaptation to organic farming. Then, of course, the climate change impact on organic farming, the water and air quality effects of organic farming that need assessment for promotion of organic farming. Then long-term studies on the climate change impact, the future sustainability and suitability of the organic versus conventional based on yield predictional analysis. We all have a feeling that under climate change, organic farming will prosper. So that we should, based on some prediction analysis, we should have data. We should generate data based on the long-term experiments already we have in the research institute or ICR institute. Then the most important point is the weed management part, which should be taken care of under climate change, especially by the non-chemical and the biological methods. And in long-term studies under organic farming, the native local strains of the microorganisms should be harnessed or exploited so that they can be used as microbial fertilizers or biocontrol agents. So we should also delineate areas which are there prospective for organic farming, and crops also where there is prospect for organic farming. For example, tuber crops, there is scope. So let us go for organic farming. Rather than in mass organic farming, you can delineate or identify the areas and the crops where we can promote organic farming. And the benefit accrued from organic farming should also be convinced to the farming community. We should have good documentation of the IT case, and the state agricultural university should also have different departments for a sustainable organic agriculture. Of course, some of our universities already have. And finally, I will say the way forward is we should have a statistical data collection of all aspects of organic farming. We should have an integrated strategy for addressing the issues in organic agriculture, why the yield is declining during the initial years, whether there is sufficient quantity of organic manures available in the farm to meet the nutrient demand, whether the release is in match with the crop demand and soil supply. Then there should be a reliable input-output chain. Then we should give more emphasis for the integrated farming system, or the model organic farm should be established. Always it is good for going to go for towards organic, try to reduce the use of synthetic chemical inputs slowly. Then farmer producer organization should also be involved, and we should also give minimum premium support price to the organic inputs to the organic growers for better profitability to the organic growers. Then finally, awards and recognition should also be given at the regional and state level to the researchers, extension workers, or whoever it is. A case in point is our own certified farm advisors who promote organic farming. They should be promoted, they should be motivated. And capacity building program should be strengthened. And some of the agronomic strategies for the promotion of organic farming is the generation of the biomass and development of biogas plant. As far as possible, try to add the crop residue, then green manuring, the recycling of the on-farm and off-farm waste, then proper composting technique. And finally, I will conclude by saying that in the system or the rotation that you adopt, you have to convince the farmer to include a legume crop strictly. That should be enforced. So that is all. Thank you all very much. And thank you very much for your patient listening. And if you get an opportunity, please visit our institute.